We are here to present before you a brief narration of one of the most controversial emperors, Roman Emperor Nero. Nero, the emperor of fire and shadows. Rome, the eternal city, a city of marble, power, and ambition. A seat of one of the most remarkable ancient empires where sun never sets. But one night, in 64 AD, flames rose higher than the temples of the gods, devouring homes, lives, and history itself. And as Rome burned, a whisper spread through the smoke. The emperor watches. Was he a monster? Was he misunderstood? Had he lost his mind? This is the story of Nero, an emperor with power, ambition, and terrifying darkness. Before he became emperor, Nero was just a boy named Lucius Domitius Ahenobarbus. Born in 37 AD, his father died when he was very young, a loss that left a shadow over his childhood. His mother, Agrippina the Younger, was not an ordinary woman. Ambitious, calculating, powerful, she remarried to the imperial family, Emperor Claudius. She was power lover and ambitious, and step by step, she climbed closer to the throne. But young Nero did not grow up in warmth. He grew up in control. Some say he feared his mother. Others say he hated her. Music becomes grand. At just his 16th years, Nero became emperor of Rome. He was renamed as Nero Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus. The mighty Claudius, his stepfather, was dead, and many believed Agrippina had a hand in it. Now, her son ruled the greatest empire on the earth. But who truly held power? The boy or the mother behind him? In the early years, Rome prospered, guided by wise advisors like Seneca the Younger. Nero appeared just even promising. The people loved him, not just as an emperor, but as a performer. He sang, acted, played music on stage. To the elite, it was shameful, but to the common people, he was one of them. Nero didn't just rule Rome, he performed for it. He stood on stage, singing, acting, competing in contests, and he demanded applause. Failure to admire him could mean punishment. To some, he was an artist emperor. To others, a ruler losing touch with reality. Absolute power made him a tyrant, power lover, terror. Power changes people. Absolute power transforms them. And Nero began to change. His relationship with his mother grew toxic. Agrippina still tried to control him, still tried to rule through him. But Nero wanted freedom, and one night he made a decision, a chilling one. Agrippina was assassinated, a son killing his own mother. History would never forget this, but the darkness didn't stop there. Nero's first wife, Octavia, was executed. His second wife, Poppaea Sabina, according to some accounts, died after Nero himself struck her in anger. Truth or exaggeration, the image was set. Nero, the cruel emperor. Then came the episode of Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD. A fire breaks out in Rome. At first, just another accident, but the flames spread, unstoppable. For days, the city burned, homes collapsed, temples vanished, people fled in terror. Rome was being destroyed. And then came the story, the one history would never forget. Nero played music while Rome burned. Some said he stood watching, singing of ancient tragedies as his city turned to ash. But was it true? Some historians say, no. They claim Nero wasn't even in Rome when the fire began. They say he returned quickly, helped organize relief, opened his gardens to the homeless. So why the blame? Because after the fire, Nero built something new, a grand palace, the Domus Aurea, the Golden Palace, lavish, massive, built over land cleared by the fire, and people began to wonder, did Nero want Rome to burn? Another darker episode opened, the persecution of the Christians. To silence rumors, Nero needed someone to blame, and he found them. A small, growing group, the early Christians, followers of a new faith, different, misunderstood. Nero accused them of starting the fire. What followed was brutal. Christians were arrested, tortured, executed. Some were burned alive, others thrown to wild animals. It was one of the first major persecutions of Christians in history, and Nero's name became forever linked with corruption and vengeance. The fall of an emperor was the logical conclusion. Rome grew restless. The army turned against him. The Senate declared him an enemy. Nero, once adored, was now alone, abandoned, hunted, and in 68 AD, facing capture. Nero made his final choice. He took his own life. His last words, they say, "What an artist dies in me." So who was Nero? A monster? A madman? Or a misunderstood artist trapped in power? History remembers him as cruel, theatrical, and dangerous. But history is not always simple. Between truth and rumor, between fact and legend, stands a man who ruled Rome and watched his world burn.